Hey beloveds, welcome back to the Living Consciously podcast with me, Yvette Ratshikhopha. I'm an author, life coach, leadership and wellness educator. I really want to invite you guys to this conversation about money. I know that some of you may have went through January and we really want to change that today. So I have an amazing guest and we want to talk about conscientizing. Can I say that word? Conscientizing. How do I say it, Farhana? Conscientizing ourselves around money, right? So today's conversation is going to be about that. Remember to hit the subscribe button. And also, if you're listening to this anywhere else, remember to follow my podcast on that platform. Farhana, welcome.
Thank you. It's amazing to be here.
I want to just thank you for honoring the appointment, first of all. And for those of you who are watching, Farhana is a success coach and a psychologist. And I really invited her to this conversation because she, one, has a really good energy to her. She loves to talk about money. And I think she's going to help us all to kind of improve in terms of our relationship with money, right? To understand ourselves and why we do things the way that we do. Why does your money come in your bank account and leave the next day, right? Why is it so hard for you to feel like abundance is something that is accessible to you? So let's have this conversation and hope you guys watch till the end. Farhana, how did you get into this work in terms of money coaching, success coaching? That's what you call it, right? How did you get into this?
So I've been a psychologist for about 20 years. So it's a long time. And as part of that journey, I always work with the healing part. So the stuff that got us where we are, the background, the limiting beliefs, the family stuff, societal stuff. So I've always worked with that. And then as life went on, my relationship with money was one of, it'll just happen. It'll just kind of work itself out and I can just follow my dreams and it'll all just happen. And then at some point I kind of looked at it and was like, it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just evolve. You don't just follow your dreams and the money follows with it. So I met and dated an economist and we had very different interactions with money. Yeah. And I was like, I wanna up my game. I wanna figure this out for myself and then for us and for our life together. So I started looking at all the stuff that I was applying to life and relationships, because I used to work a lot with people and their individual personal growth and then relationship growth. And I was like, how can I apply everything can I apply that to money? And through that journey, I discovered a whole bunch of different things. I discovered the sacred money archetypes, which we're going to talk about today. And I then looked at taking that personal development stuff, how do I work with that? And can I extract that into looking at our relationship with money? Because the truth is, the way we are with money is the way we are in life. So how can we explore that deeper? So I'm not a financial advisor.
Yes. We need to get the disclaimer out.
Not a financial.
This is not financial advice. If you're seeking financial advice, please speak to a professional financial advisor, certified financial advisor. Yes. So yes, continue.
Important disclaimer. All I do is help us to understand what is happening subconsciously, what is happening in our belief system, what is the drivers that work in our relationship with money.
I love that you've said that, that most people don't understand the root. They see the behavior, but they don't really see how it is that they came to the behavior that they have when it comes to money. And whenever I work with anybody, I help them to find out what's the root of this behavior, right? When did it start? Where did you learn it in particular? So I know for me, one of the things that I struggled with my journey with money is that because of the way that I grew up, right, which was quite a a childhood that caused me to believe that I'm not enough, right? So I then adapted limiting beliefs around money. And one of those limiting beliefs wasn't really in relationship to money per se. It was in relationship to self, whereby I thought that I'm not good enough. And therefore, because I think that I'm not good enough, it was very difficult for me to attract the abundance that I needed. I just would settle for less, or I would not think that certain amounts of money are accessible to me. So I used to do business consulting, and I remember back at then, I would always undercharge, right? In my business, I would always try to find the discount until, eventually life is so beautiful in the sense that it brings us to a stop where things are not working for us and we have to question what's working, what's not working. And then that's when I was like, nah, man, it's this limiting belief that I have about myself. I really need to dig deep and work on it, but in relationship to money, and really understand how it's impacting my business. It's impacting the type of relationships I get into and how that person provides, in the relationship as well. It's impacting what I settle for, when you go out, or when somebody asks you to quote them on something, how much you charge in that regard. When I'm putting down my vision board, how much do I put down, when I'm writing down my financial goals? Do I put down, 10,000, per month, or do I put down 200,000 or 300,000 per month, which is actually accessible, right? Yeah. So I had to really, it's still something that I consciously work on. Yeah. So I had to do that. So I'm wondering if you had any limiting beliefs around money before you got into this work?
Always. And the beauty and maybe the difficulty around this stuff is that it's an ongoing journey. Every time you're wanting to create a new reality for yourself, anytime you want to level up, or get to the next space, we're going to get the same information. We're going to have to look at very similar things. We're going to have to pause, reflect, kind of normalize, and get our nervous system to be comfortable with the next piece. Because until we able to do that, and it's a both and, right, at the same time. So we have to normalize and acclimatize our nervous system to our next level as we continue creating the information, the content, the strategy, the real businessy kind of information that we need. And so it's both. We need that concrete business stuff, and we need our nervous system to move with us. And I say our nervous system is made up of our thoughts, our belief. It's made up of our brain. It's made up of our autonomic nervous system, sympathetic nervous system. All of this contributes to our nervous system, and it's all feeding itself. And our nervous system is made up of our family history. It's made up of our ancestral history. It's made up of which is part of our epigenetics. It's made up of our childhood history. It's made up of the information that we have as we grow. It's made up of that first boss that you had that treated you really well, or the third boss that treated you really badly, the difficult relationships that you had with a colleague that really impacted your sense of self. So what we do with all of these different bits of information, we're projecting all of this into our relationship with money in the same way that we're projecting all of this into our relationship with our friends, into our relationship with our lovers. We're walking around projecting things that are not even real or should be projected to that. So we tie our self-worth to our network. We look at our bank balance and we go, yeah, I'm worth it. Well, it's got nothing to do with it. We need the financial security, absolutely. But that link to our worth, it's just a projection. So if we can start separating that, that's great. So
separating your worth separating your worth from your bank balance, basically. Okay.
Yeah, because money is just money.
Okay.
Money is just a commodity that we use as an exchange, but we project a whole bunch of things onto it
because of how our nervous system is built. So what I hear you saying is, because as a person you grow up with these experiences, they stay with you. And then even though you shouldn't be projecting those things into your worth or your bank balance and internalizing it, then you respond to that. So a certain amount makes you nervous, even though it shouldn't make you nervous, because in your brain or in your body, it's like, when I was 4 years old, my mom used to always say no when I asked for this amount. Or when I was 10 years old, I went to a new school and I didn't fit in and I felt not good enough. But that actually has nothing to do with this commodity that we need to use to kind of create our lives. And separating that is what you're saying is allows us to work with it.
Yeah, separating it allows us to see it as money and go off and make more money and not have all those anxieties, fears, meaning attached to it. And it's just money.
I love that not attaching meaning. It's like with overachievers to say my performance is not based on my worth. My worth is not based on my performance. Yeah. So my bank account is not based on my history, or it's not based on who I am. It's just based on maybe understanding certain laws or certain tools in order to kind of work with that money.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's more complicated,
yes.
Right? Because as all of these things are, because it's not denying that real
impact, yeah.
There's real impact. It's not denying that there's social issues. It's not denying that there are cultural issues. It's not denying things like the impact of structural things, institutionalized things, apartheid. We can't say, off you go, change your limiting beliefs and you'll be fine. It's kind of going, well, yes, we need to acknowledge that those things are real. It's not to say, it's not like working just from the law of attraction, yes. For example, right? Where it's like, think good things and life will happen. It's really...
It's one part of it. It's not just the whole picture, yeah.
And, and it's understanding that those things are real. Racism is real. Institutionalized discrimination is real. Mm. So understanding that and understanding we have choice. We can either go off and we can go, I'm going to be the person who's going to fight for the social change. I'm going to go off there and that's going to be my work. Awesome. Or you can kind of go, this is the reality and I'm going to do what I can for my life right now. Knowing and trusting that there's a whole bunch of people, because we work systemically, so there's a whole bunch of people working on different angles and working on different levels. Yeah. And as we change our reality, we then have more power, which then can impact...
Change the collective reality.
Yes. And at the same time, as other people work with, and I say other people because I'm not working from a collective place, but I know lots of people who are. Other people who work on the collective place can work on the collective place and then they can change the individual. So we need both. And it's important that we recognize that we don't dismiss the realities that do exist. And at the same time to kind of go, what do I have control over? What do I have influence over? Even when I make more money than I ever thought was possible, how do I then use that money? And all of that becomes our choice.
Okay, thank you for explaining that so well, that, it's something that I came to an awareness about when I was on my own journey. And I got to change the world. I'm going to heal everybody. And I came to this awareness that I can't do that unless I've done that for myself, right? The way that I change the collective is by working on self. And then through that, then I assist my immediate family. I assist, and I don't mean financially assisting, by me being a better version of self, whether it's me having boundaries, whether it's me just having a voice and knowing how to use it, whether it's me just managing my finances as well. My younger siblings have to say, she can do it, or the people around me can see that this is it. And just by having the consciousness that I have, and I think a lot of people struggle with that, right? Especially if you come from a family whereby you really feel responsible to do certain things. Sometimes the healing, whether it's monetary healing or whether it's healing in other spaces, is by healing yourself. And then people benefit just by virtue of you being yourself and doing that. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's dive into it deeper, right? So we've spoken about the nervous system and how, your mind, because it doesn't always know how to separate that, like your worth is attached to is not attached to the money, right? Kind of interlinks everything. So what does understanding your family systems and how they've impacted you look like? How does someone who's noticing that they have a money pattern and money comes in, it goes out, how do they practically then understand where that comes from so that they can improve their relationship with money or improve their monetary situation?
So a few things. The one is self-awareness. Anything that we want to change begins with our self-awareness. So we need to go slowly and pause. First thing is to look at what are the patterns of behavior that I'm seeing when it comes to money. What happens? Am I someone who makes a lot of money and then suddenly it's all gone? Am I someone who makes a lot of money and feels like it's not enough? So what is the...
That's a good one, that it's not enough. And then people think money trauma or having a bad relationship with money is only when you don't have it. But sometimes it's when you do have it. However, you just don't know, like what you just said, when is it enough? And then that affects your mental health as well in the long run. So I like where you're going with that.
Yeah, so we can get filled with fear and anxiety. And so it's understanding, it's pausing. We always start with pause, right? And going, what is my pattern? What do I do? Once you pause, and this can be scary, right? Whenever we slow down and to look at our patterns, it's scary. It's not you and I might kind of go, woohoo, this is such fun, yay. But actually, it took us a while to even get there.
Yeah, it's
right?
hard.
And there are times, even in my life, there are times when I kind of go, I don't want to look at that. Whatever it is, I don't want to look at that. So I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist. We often do that with money. And if we can take beautiful, deep breaths, which helps our nervous system, and we always exhale for longer than inhale. If we can do that and go, I'm going to look at this for 5 minutes today. That's all I'm going to do. 5 minutes. And then look, what do I normally do? Can I make money? Do I lose money? Do I make a whole bunch of money and then have nothing? Once you get that, once you understand your pattern, then you go back and you kind of go, where could this come from? If I look back to my life, and it's not just looking at your family system, it might be looking at, so family system, culture, what's going on societally, what's going on in terms of epigenetically, which basically means what happened in my ancestors' life. Because the truth is, whatever happened in our ancestors' life, going back to the beginning of time, it's a long time, is passed down through our genes. We can change it,
but it's there.
It's there. Yeah. And with that comes the beauty and the wisdom and the trauma, right? And the difficulty and the wars and the famines. Like if you think back to our family history, there's a lot. So what are all the different pieces to it that could be influencing where I am right now that's impacting my relationship with money? And sometimes it's not directly linked to the money. You gave a beautiful example earlier. It's not directly linked to money. It could be, actually, part of my issue with money is I was given too much. Part of my issue with money is I didn't have to have any struggle.
I never had to work for it. That can be an issue because you don't.
And I never had to, it was just given to me. So my expectation is that it's just given to me. It's just going to show up. So once we start gently, all of the stuff is done so gently, right? So once we start gently unpacking and looking and exploring with curiosity, we can start looking at what are our money stories and are there people we need to forgive? So maybe we need to forgive that boss. Maybe we even need to forgive our parents. Maybe we need to forgive society, which can be really hard.
What does a money story sound like for someone that's maybe watching or listening to this? What does a money story sound like? Is this the genetic stuff that you spoke about? Is this all those things, the family thing, social culture? Is that what builds the money story?
So a money story could be something big, or money story could be something small. So a money story could be, oh, I know that in my grandparents' generation, they had a lot of money, or the generation before that, they had a lot of money and then it was lost in my grandfather's generation. That's a money story.
Okay.
A money story could be, actually, and I'm going to use a South African example. A money story could be, in apartheid, let's use the proper South African example.
Context,
right?
yes.
In apartheid, with the Group Areas Act, my family had a beautiful, and this is something that happened in my family twice. So my family had beautiful land, beautiful large piece of land. It was taken, right? And that happened twice to my family. And so in my system, that is carried as well. So that's a money story.
This is where I know these affirmations that clear and transmute things from like generational stuff, because I think it's acknowledging that there is generational stuff that affects our money pattern, even stuff that we're not aware of. And I don't think people are aware of that, you know, that genetically there's stuff that stored in your body. I think Dr. Caroline Leaf speaks a lot about it as well, about how, you know, whether it's trauma or certain patterns just are there genetically and you have to do some work to kind of unwork it. And I think also someone is probably wondering, how do I then dig up this information? Do I need to go and ask around? I know hypnotherapy also helps sometimes with stuff like that. And so how does one find out that stuff, like if they don't know it?
So hypnotherapy, and because hypnotherapy is going to get you to the root cause, and it doesn't matter, for me, it's going to show up.
Yeah.
It's going to show up to be healed whenever it's ready.
Okay.
Family constellations is also a great way to do it. And then the other part is to just recognize, I don't know where this comes from. And even though I don't know where it comes from, it's safe for me to have a new relationship with money. It's safe for me to have a different genetic experience. So that's the genetic, that's a genetic money example, right? Here, in the moment example could be, well, around my birthday, people didn't celebrate me. Or when I was in school, this happened.
I'll give you one from my own personal experience. I think I used to get the no a lot. So just not thinking certain things are accessible to me, you know, just, can I have this? No. You know, the school trip is $50. No. You know, and that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
And even though I came from a middle class family, I really just had all these limiting beliefs. You'd swear that I didn't, because sometimes, of course, growing in a certain environment doesn't mean we get all the things that people would think you would have in that environment as well. Because sometimes people aren't even aware, because it's like, I grew up around wealth. Maybe your parents were wealthy, but they always said no to you, or they had limiting beliefs and thoughts because their parents, or they come from a space without money. So they're still operating from that place where they're like, I don't have money. But they actually have the wealth. So they're always saving and saying no, even though you know that physically the money is there, because they're still stuck in that trauma, or in the ancestral trauma, or in that, you know, that fear. Money pattern and the fear, right?
Like, this could go away.
Like, that's the word. Yes, that, just that fear. So I think that was another one. I had another one as well. I think it was, I can't remember it now, but that's also a practical example of one of those types of money stories, right? And I think all of us, most of us, can't speak for everybody, most of us have a money story, right?
We all have money stories, and often the shared money stories are, you have to work hard for your money.
I don't believe that one. I hung up that jersey.
You hung up that jersey, but
yeah, people are walking around with it.
That is a very big fear.
And
often
their bank account, they're working hard, but their money is not increasing. that's when you know that it's a money story. When you have the belief or the story and nothing's changing in your bank account, you believe you have to work hard to make money, but the money's not changing. What other ones do people have?
So people also have, I'm just bad with money. Right? And money is really hard to come by. There's not enough money in the world. These are all money stories.
Yes.
They're not real. Like, there's plenty of money in the world. So, another beautiful examples like that I've worked with some of my clients on is I really wanted, when I was little, I really wanted whatever, right? A chocolate, something. And whether or not the parents could afford it, like in your example, they didn't get it. And so with that, they take on a whole bunch of things. That is a money story. That is, if you go back to looking at where did this come from? Oh yeah, I remember when I was little and I really wanted that. And so I made a decision about money then. Or I made a decision about myself then. Or I made a decision about what was possible then, right? So those are the money stories. It's the things that we have taken on and made it true.
Even though they're not serving us.
Yeah. And some of that could be, yes, it was true in that moment. It was true because of maybe your parents were really scared for something. Or maybe they were really scared about what was happening in the world at that time. So it was true for them, but it doesn't mean that it's true for you.
So separating again.
Separating. Most of the things that we take on about money doesn't even belong to us.
Sure. I want you to say that again.
In fact, I would say 99.9% of the things that we take on about money does not belong to us. And so we need to give it back.
Sure.
To where it belongs.
How do people give it back to where it belongs? What's the process of now having a healthy money story that will serve you, and so you can have a healthy relationship with money?
So to start off is to just start using gentle affirmations of, it's safe for me to look at money. It's safe for me to look at my money, because most people are not wanting to look at their money, right? So if we just start off with, it's safe for me to understand what my patterns are around money. For some of that deeper work, you do need the support, because you might need the hypnotherapy or family constellations or tapping, because those can really bring it up and out of our body, and it can be changed. But just simple things like, it's safe for me to create a new relationship with money. I love using it's safe, because what that does to your nervous system is that it calms it down. And it could be, it's safe for me to look at my bank balance today. It's safe for me to look at my patterns today. It's safe for me to spend 5 minutes just understanding what my patterns are. It's safe for me to give back what doesn't belong to me. And just close your eyes and just imagine that you take all of these things and you just give it back to where it belongs. And then you can just go, and I trust that they can take care of it. Because they can. And so just as we do that, we're also creating that boundary around us, and we're allowing the love to flow from our ancestors. We're allowing forgiveness. And then the other part is forgiveness exercises. So there's a Hawaiian, and this is appropriation, but it's beautiful. There's a Hawaiian one, and can we quickly do one?
Yeah, we can. Sure.
Yeah.
Let's join in as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're not, you can switch over to YouTube and watch this part of the episode. Yeah.
So just close your eyes and just put your hand on your heart.
Okay.
And then I just want you to imagine someone that you need to forgive walking towards you. So this is someone that your heart is ready to forgive. And when they come to stand in front of you, it could be anyone, might be yourself, might be someone else. And I just want you to look at them. And I want you to say to them, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And just say it again. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
And just one more time, just to clear that bond. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And then I want you to imagine that the cords that are keeping the two of you tied just gently just get cut and just disappear. And that you take into your heart the love and the wisdom. And you let them go wherever they need to go. Sometimes it might be into your heart, sometimes it might be somewhere else. And you just take a nice deep breath, feeling your heart again. And then when you're ready, just return to where you are and just open your eyes.
Good. Okay.
So that's a simple forgiveness
Exercise.
Forgiveness exercise.
I think most people don't know that. And thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think people can do that, listen to this over and over again, and actually use this even to forgive people for other things as well.
Absolutely,
that's the beautiful thing.
You don't just want to forgive people around your money stuff, right? There could be something that's
A whole lot of
a whole bunch
things.
of
Yeah.
things. And the reason we say forgive me is because we're all connected. And so, and that's why your heart will always bring the person or the situation that you're ready to do this, because it's not an easy exercise.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for that. I think that was a really helpful exercise. And sometimes also it's not even forgiveness of others. Sometimes the person that, like you said, the person that shows up is you.
Yes.
Right? So you have to forgive yourself for the way that you've handled your money. If you're in a space that you're in debt, or you find yourself you used to try to earn your worth by giving money to other people, and you maybe didn't have any boundaries or self-awareness like you spoke about, then there's probably a lot of resentment towards self that you have. I should have known better, but you didn't. And if you don't know any better, you can't do better. Yeah. And I think forgiveness is a big part. I think when people think of forgiveness, they think it's this thing about other people, but it's allowing yourself to let go of the resentment from the experience that you had with yourself or even others, which actually frees you up and allows you to then create a new pattern to move forward, and also releases energy, right? When
Absolutely.
I do like sessions like this, then there's always, the headaches, the shoulders pain, the neck pain, because you're carrying energy with yourself and you're moving in life with that energy. So I love that exercise for that purpose. So I hope you guys actually did it. So just to wrap this part of the conversation up, what would you say to somebody who is doing the inner work in terms of their money and looking at those family constellations, is looking to do, the healing work around their money? What would you say to them?
To be kind to yourself, and that you're doing a really good job, and that you're changing your story, not just for yourself, but every time that we do work on ourselves, we change it for all our ancestors behind us and everyone that's in our same line and all those in front of us. Keep going. And it's okay to fumble. It's okay to stumble. You're going to do it. Your nervous system is going to come back and whack you as you do the work. And just pause in those moments and breathe and keep doing it.
Breathe.
Your money stories can change.
Okay. Breathe and keep doing it, and your money story can change. I think that's a nice affirmation. My money story can change.
I would go I would change it into my money story is changing.
I love that. It's changed.
Yes.
In fact, it's done. What
done.
are your money affirmations? Do you have any for yourself?
So I often use it's safe. It's safe for me to make and keep money, because that was when we talk about the archetypes. I'll also share my archetypes. There's no money saving archetypes in me at all. So we'll talk about that. But it's safe for me to make and keep money. Some people might even want to work around their debt. It's safe for me to clear my debt. It's safe for me to have a new baseline. Because some of us are so used to being in the negative that we can't even comprehend that we cannot be in the negative. So I use a safe. It's safe a lot daily.
I like the safe one because it's about regulating the inner person, the nervous system, and all that anxiety we have around money. So I really like that because I don't think people make that link, that when you think about money, how do you feel in your body? Where do you feel it, and how do you respond to that feeling?
Absolutely.
Do you allow it to flow through? Do you resist it? And how do you affirm yourself to create safety? Because most times when people oversave or people overspend, it is to create safety in any case.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's linked to that is also that safety piece is so important, because creating a new relationship with money is so important, because your relationship with money needs to be mutually supportive, and there needs to be a love relationship with money. Whether that love relationship is a friendship or whether that love relationship is a lover, like the way you treat money, is that how you would treat someone you care about? Because that's what we should be doing with money.
I really like that. I think my affirmations with money is money loves me.
I love that.
It comes to me with ease.
Love that.
I think, but the biggest thing that has actually worked for me is actually that safe regulation.
Yeah.
And really just, you can tell the transition in your life when you let go of those limiting beliefs around money, and when you are safe with it, when you have a healthy relationship with it. And for someone who's wondering, actually, how do I know that I've let go? Look at your life and look at how things change in your life in terms of the ease that comes with money. So thank you so much for this conversation. I think it was so necessary and healing. And yeah, I'm just really grateful for you being here, and thank you for this part of the conversation.
Thank you.